Now, first of all, I will say you that I'm going to say in this video about the Ted Bundy. So, who is Ted Bundy? Ted Bundy is a serial killer who killed many women, raped women, and was not even ashamed in his death time because he was penalty and in his death penalty he was not being ashamed also for the things that he had done. And the person here in this screen is saying his story about her mother. I mean, he's saying that how his mother was being followed by Ted Bundy, who was a serial killer, and how did she recognize it. So it's a very beautiful story. I want you to know about this story and be aware not to go on anybody's car also.
My mom was followed by a murderer, and this is that story. Alright, so this story goes all the way back to the mid 1970s. So this is my mom's junior year of high school. Well, it was
She
the
was
end of her junior
beautiful.
year of high school, I guess I should say.
Okay,
Actually,
end
it
of
was the
junior
start of her
year.
summer vacation. It was a beautiful day, so my mom, her sister, and her friend decided to take a little day trip. So the three of them hop in the
Of course, in 1900s, like in late 90s, people were like, let's go somewhere. I mean, like in summer vacation. So they were like simply going there.
car, and they're off. So it takes them about 2.5 hours to get there. They're listening to the radio, talking about things they want to do for the summer, and eventually they arrive at their destination, Oak Creek Canyon Park. So for context, this
Oh,
trip
do
and
you
this
know
entire
about
story is
Oak
all taking place in
Canyon
northern
Park? I have
Arizona.
never
The
heard
park they
it.
were at sits in the middle of Coconino National Forest. So one of the main reasons they wanted to go to this park is because it's absolutely gorgeous over there. There's trees, mountains. One of the things they notice when they get there is that it is very open, almost too open. So they park their car in a small
Most too open. I mean, there are no peoples there. No people. Only those three women's.
parking lot and they start scoping out an area for them to hang out. They end up plopping down by this small pond by the park with plans to just hang out for a few hours. They had brought some food. They were maybe
Yeah, like we also hang out with my friends, but not in that area alone. Like, it's dangerous, but we don't know about those killers. They can be anywhere following you.
do a picnic. They didn't really know, other than the fact that they were just enjoying that summer had just begun. I feel like it's important to mention that my mom has been to this park before. She's been there a few times with some friends and whatnot.
Oh, of
But it
course. She is with her friends and she had been before, so it isn't a new deal for her to go in that park again.
was very empty that day, which was strange for such a nice day. Anyway, so there they are, just hanging out.
Oh, so they
When
had
suddenly,
gone to the park before, but it wasn't as empty as it was that day.
my mom notices a man across the pond. A couple of minutes go by, and my mom's sitting there trying to stay engaged in the conversation with her sister when she stares back across the pond. The man is still standing there. He's staring at them, rubbing his chin thoughtfully, like, I see you. Obviously, my
Oh
mom's
my
first
god,
thought
that's
is,
so
what the hell
freaking
is this
out.
guy doing out here by himself? And why is he staring at us like that? Trying her best not to stare back, she does a few quick glances at best, and she notices his clothes. He's really well dressed, which is just another weird detail that didn't seem to add up to my mom. We should
Yeah, and another thing I want to tell about Ted Bundy is like he is always well dressed. I mean, he's not that type of guy like, oh, I'm gonna take you into the car or something. He's just well dressed and takes women's, and women think that, huh, he's a good guy. I don't think, but he has a very monstrous side.
move to another area. I'm getting really creeped out, she thought to herself. After deciding that this situation isn't normal, she gets the attention of her sister and her friend, pointing out the man staring at them across the pond. They tell her she's overthinking it and she's just being crazy. He's probably there just enjoying the park
Oh
like
my
anyone
god,
else
what
would.
would I do
It is a
there?
public park after all. And they were probably right. People are allowed to be outside, people
Yeah,
are
of
allowed to go to
course, you
public
can't
parks,
question them.
whatever. Still feeling uneasy, my mom tries her best to go back to just enjoying her day. Out of the corner of her eye, she notices a slight movement. Instantly, her
Oh
eyes
my
dart back
god,
across the pond.
that's so
The
so
man
frightening.
isn't there anymore.
That's freaking
Suddenly,
out.
she catches sight of the man. He's walking along the edge of the pond, headed their direction. The scariest part, he was walking with intention. He was walking toward them.
Walking
And
with
to my mom,
intention is so freaking
that was
out.
it. So as to not escalate the situation
Go
any
into the
further,
car,
because my mom
ladies.
had no idea what was going to happen, my mom softly but sternly pointed out the man walking across the pond. Finally, they all agreed that something wasn't right about this situation and that they should move. Now. As quickly and quietly as they could, they gathered their things and headed back to the car. All the while, my mom is sneaking glances at him. He was still there, walking with an even quicker pace than he was before, closing in on where they had just been seconds before. My mom will say to this day, she had the worst feeling in the pit of her stomach. She was practically hyperventilating. Out of fear, instinct, caution, whatever you want to call it, my mom picks up a rock on the way to the car. They reach the car, they throw their stuff in the trunk, and they pile in. My mom is hunched over in the back seat, clutching the rock for dear life. She peeks out the back window as the car starts. She doesn't see him.
Oh my god.
Wherever he was, they needed to get out of there. With the tires practically...
Oh my god, that's so freaking out. Like the man walking with the intention. And at least they had some brains that they went into the car. What if they just steered out? Because at those frightening moments, most of the people just steer out. They don't know what to do.
Wheeling out of the parking lot, they race down the same road they drove in on. At this point, everyone's eyes are glued to the rearview mirror. So, that was weird, my mom thought to herself. Rock in hand, my mom was definitely shaken up. My mom's
She
sister,
still had
the one who was
rock.
driving the car, quickly looks in the rearview mirror. And she says, "Oh my god, look." The energy in the air, it felt cold. It just felt wrong. Slowly, my mom peers out the back window one more time. To her horror, she sees a car emerging from the same parking lot, following them. She'll never forget the feeling of watching a yellowish, cream-colored Volkswagen Beetle slowly gaining ground on them. Now, everyone was truly terrified. What did this person want? Why was he following them? All my mom knew was, this person is evil. She could feel it. Her sister floors the gas pedal,
Sometimes you can
and luckily they're
literally
able to maintain a
feel in
distance
the
between
air
themselves and this
that
man.
the bad people
Eventually,
are
they get to a
bad.
gas station, and they pull over to what they hope is safety. To their surprise, and ultimately their relief, the man drives right by them. My mom's sister, and her friend, they were all really unsettled by the whole thing. Now,
Oh my
you're probably
god.
wondering why I just told you that story. Please don't go anywhere. I'm about to explain the craziest part. So about 15 years go by. My mom's just at home minding her own business, watching the news, when she sees that convicted serial killer Ted Bundy is about to be sentenced to death. She's watching the news, learning more about this man, and she learns that he was well dressed, he drove a yellow, cream-colored
Oh
Volkswagen
my
Beetle,
gosh.
and he committed several murders in Colorado, which is right above Arizona. And as she's watching the news, the phone rings. My mom's sister, my aunt, who was with her when this happened all those years ago, is watching the same broadcast when she calls my mom. And without even saying hello, the very first thing my aunt says is,